Jack Whitehall is currently on his biggest North American tour, and he's coming to the Chicago Theater this Friday, February 24th. Jack, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
So you just finished up a couple of dates on the East Coast. We still have Minneapolis, Chicago, Austin, Denver, LA, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver. I mean, this is an amazing tour of America you're doing right now.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, to be honest, like historically, I've only really played like clubs in New York and LA. So it's really nice to like get out there on the road and see a little bit more of the States and to play some new cities and go to some exciting venues that I've never performed in, not least of which the Chicago Theater, which is going to be a pretty special night.
Is this going to be your first time performing in Chicago?
Yeah, first time performing in Chicago, first time visiting Chicago. Um, yeah, I mean, I am really excited to come to the city. I have some connections to it. Like my mum has lots of friends in Chicago, so she's actually visited quite a few times before. She was even threatening to come out at one point, but I think I've somehow managed to dissuade her from doing so and crashing my tour and ruining my style. But I think, yeah, there will be a few familiar faces in the crowd as well.
Well, you never know. If you can't get a hold of her for like the 8 hours leading up to the Chicago gig, she might be on a flight coming to you never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think I'll try and get her put on a no-fly list just to make sure that that doesn't happen. I really don't want her hanging around like a bad smell.
As far as like your team and fellow comedians and people DMing you, have they told you, because obviously we're known for our comedy in Chicago, but also our restaurants. Have people been telling you like you got to go eat here or you got to go have deep dish pizza? Have you been getting a lot of those? I can see them
Yeah,
happening already.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm a bit of a foodie myself, and so I really love eating out and finding great restaurants and great spots. And so yeah, Chicago, I've definitely been inundated with some good recommendations. And also it's definitely like the one date on the tour that all of my friends back home are a little bit jealous of because I think they'd like to come out and sample some of these amazing delights that Chicago is famous for.
Awesome. You mentioned your mom about not wanting her to come out, but what about your dad? Because you did the show Travels with My Father. I'd love seeing you and your dad together. Has he come out to any of the shows so far?
No, to be fair, he hasn't come out to any of the shows, and the reality is, a lot of my material they do feature in it because yeah, I did this show that where I traveled around with him a lot and spent rather a lot of time in very close proximity to him. So yeah, he is a source of my comedy as well as this kind of unusual double act that we've formed. But that's the great advantage of the shows in America is that I know that he won't be at any of them, so I can definitely go to town in terms of throwing him under the bus and not holding back. Sometimes when I'm doing shows in England, I'm like, he may like pitch up, or maybe he knows someone in the crowd, or if there was a reviewer in, he might read the newspaper and realize that I'm bad mouthing him. But I think I'm pretty safe in Chicago, so I think yeah, it'll be no holds barred.
But let's talk a little bit about for your friendship with Harry Styles, because obviously, if you go back and watch on YouTube, you see since they were in One Direction, you've been having some fun with him and the whole band. Talk a little bit about your history with Harry.
Yeah, no, I met him when he was a very young boy back then in One Direction. And we did a few kind of shows together in the UK. And I, compared and hosted a couple of things like the Raw Variety Show, which he appeared on. And I had this running joke that I would always turn up dressed as one of One Direction because I was trying to get into the band after Zayn left. So there's quite a few images floating around the internet of me in some rather bold ensembles that Harry Styles is able to pull off, and maybe I am struggling to do so. But he's been great, and we remain pretty friendly, and it's been amazing watching his kind of career trajectory and seeing him taking off in the States in the way that he has as a solo artist is really exciting as well. But also, it's been cool to go into some of these venues and see, pictures of him up on the wall because I think he's played quite a lot of these theaters that I've gone to, and in his the early part of his kind of touring journey over here. So whilst I think I'm some way off being able to sell the number of tickets that Harry is able to now, it's certainly nice to have seen like a slight upgrade in the venues that I'm playing here, because it was quite an inauspicious start when I first started doing shows in the States. That was my first gig in LA, a sex shop in Los Angeles, which I arrived at, and it was just some like fold out chairs that had been put out in the corner of the room. And I was like, oh God, this is a really good way to come crashing back down to earth, having done a quite sizable tour in the United Kingdom. Uh, but yeah, this time round, thankfully, some of the venues are a little bit more
And the
prestigious.
Chicago theater is the complete opposite of what that theater
I
was like.
know.
So you'll be gonna have a wonderful
Yeah.
experience while you're here.
Yeah, that venue looks pretty special.
One more question about Harry. As far as like your friendship now, I mean, do you text? Do you pass material by him before you put it on stage? Like, how are you guys right now?
Well, there is a little reference to him in my show. There's a story that he's sort of peripherally involved in. So yeah, he does get a little bit of a name drop, but it's nothing too disparaging. So I wouldn't even need to run it past him. I mean, I think probably the other Harry, our Prince. I mean, there's a couple of stories that maybe I would want to pass by him first if he was ever
Do you run into him?
the show.
Do you run into Prince Harry in LA at all?
No, I haven't yet. But yeah, I mean, he's impossible not to talk about now. Like, I promised myself that I wouldn't do a load of material, and then every night I time it, like how long it will take me to get to a joke about his frostbitten penis. Last night, I think I got 30 seconds into the show before I resorted to that. It's so hard. It's just like this big open goal that I can't not like try and score into. So, but it is funny. I do definitely sense that with these American crowds, like people really want me to talk about it. Like there's almost like a release of tension in the room when I reference it as a subject matter. You know, it like I can palpably feel the audience going, finally Jack's talking about it, because I do feel like maybe as a Brit and as a Brit from the background that I'm from as well, and having spoken about him before all of this like media circus, that people are kind of expecting me to at least make a reference to it. So yeah, if you're wanting a little bit of Prince Harry material, then you won't be disappointed.
And you won't have to wait more than 30 seconds. That's what I've learned. You won't.
No, I'll try by Chicago. I'll try and write some other jokes first, so that I at least warm up into it. But maybe we can get to like a minute without me mentioning
There
it.
you go. Speaking of Frozen, you had a part in the very first one. They just
Great
announced.
segue. That's a
Yeah,
very good segue from Prince Harry's penis to the musical Frozen.
I try.
Yeah.
They just announced the third one. Are you going to try and get your name? We want to know more of Gothi's story. Are you going to be, trying to get
Yeah.
that third film?
I mean, I sent quite a desperate email, I think, to Sean Bailey, the one of the top bods at Disney, when the second Frozen was announced, and that certainly was a plea that fell on deaf ears. I was able to feature in the stage musical thanks to Jimmy Fallon, who knew of my heartache at being cut from the original Frozen film and was able to get me my line on the live Broadway version of the show, which was rather fun. So I do now have more ins with the Frozen world, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe Frozen 3 is when finally we can put this to bed once and for all, and I can have my moment to shine.
Exactly. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for that.
Maybe
movie.
I could be Prince Harry's frostbitten penis. That could be. I could just be there in the snow somewhere, and she finds me, and then I give her some like whimsical life advice on her quest, and that's my cameo.
When we're done with this, you need to go to pitch Bob Iger this. This has to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. Oh look, I think I found one of Olaf's buttons. It's a. Oh no, this isn't a knob of coal. What is this? Hello.
It's me, Gothi. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as going to school with Robert Pattinson, tell me a little bit about that experience and the two of you growing up together.
Yeah. Well, I do a bit in my show where I talk about how I'm the least famous person to have gone to my school, because I went to this school that everyone went to: Robert Pattinson, Emma Watson, Kate Middleton. It was just like a who's who. So there's a big section in my show where I talk about how frustrated I am that no matter what I achieve, I am always like my school's dirty little secret. But maybe playing the Chicago theater will be, the thing that finally elevates me to being, spoken of in the same breath as those illustrious overachievers.
I think so. I think you're gonna do the show Friday night, and I think Saturday morning is when it's all gonna happen.
That's when it's all going to kick off. Yeah.
I love when you hosted Graham Norton's show when he was out for that time. What was that experience like? And is that kind of something in your trajectory of your career that you would love to be able to do?
Yeah, no, I love doing that. It's a show that I have such fondness for, and was part of what kind of introduced me to television audience back home. Was from appearing on that show. So when they asked me to step in for him and host an episode, I was delighted and nervous in equal measure. And yeah, I think maybe at some point in the future I'd like to do it, but at the moment, like I love acting and I love being able to tour as a comedian, and both of those things are quite hard if you're doing like a full scale chat show. It's, eats up a lot of your time. So it's certainly something I'd like to do in the future. But I think maybe when I've arrived at a place where I'm sort of a little bit better at listening rather than talking all of the time, and have maybe just bored of the sound of my own voice, which I'm sure I will get to at some point. But right now I feel like maybe I still want to, be telling jokes all the time and making it all about me.
That's why we love you.
Yeah, maybe.
The after party. You're going to be making an appearance in that too, that Apple TV Plus
Yeah.
series, correct?
Yeah. We shot that last summer, and I've seen some little bits edited together. I think it's going to be great. It's an incredible cast that they were able to assemble, and like some of the best comedy talent that there is working today. You've got Ken Jeong, John Cho, Elizabeth Perkins, Paul Walter Hauser. We had so much fun making that show. I'm really excited for that one to come out. I think it's end of April on Apple.
Awesome. Well, Jack, thank you so much for your time today. So excited that you're going to be playing Chicago for the very first time this upcoming Friday, the 24th at the Chicago Theater. Tickets still available, jackwhitehall.com to get that. And then also all the tours all the stops that he's going to be making in North America, because we've got Minneapolis, Austin, Denver, LA, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, and then you're coming to Vegas in the summer. So plenty of times to go check you out no matter where in the country you live.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, see you on Friday.
Thank you.
Bye.